Behind me here is probably the most unusual new boat at the show. This is the Wally Y200, and you'll see why it's quite so unusual and innovative when we show you a little bit more about her. But for those who don't know, Wally is the single most advanced, innovative, radical boat designer we've probably ever seen. Set up by Luca Bassani, he's created some of the most iconic shapes of this century. And you only have to look at some of the smaller boats. They're famous for their very angular design, and he creates both astonishing sailing boats and power boats. But look at the bow of the Wally Y200 behind. You see that axe bow shape? It's actually over vertical, it's a reverse bow, and it's completely wrapped in glass. There are 270 degrees of glass all the way around that bow, and the reason for that is because inside that part of the boat is the owner's cabin. An owner's cabin right in the forepeak with views out through that glass all the way around. It's also exceptionally tall. Look how tall the top sides are on that boat, which makes it the most voluminous boat in its class. So technically it just squeezes under the 24-metre load line length, so you can drive it on an ordinary RYA ticket, and yet you have the size inside of a genuine compact super yacht. So let's go and take a closer look at this revolutionary new craft, which we're going to have a full tour around and a sea trial. So this is the top deck on the Wally Y200, and it's enclosed up here too, so there's a bridge forward, but glass bulkheads, so there is fantastic view right through the yacht, whether you're at the helm or in this lovely sky saloon with that carbon fibre staircase leading up into it, and this lovely wrap of seating around the port side, and these amazing angular windows everywhere. You've got skylights overhead, this extraordinary triangular side screen, the glass bulkheads to that iconic raked, almost cockpit fighter style bridge deck, and then more angular windows over here, TV that rises out of this starboard side and then out onto the open aft deck. There's a lot of people on here, so excuse quite how busy it is, but not surprisingly lots of people want to have a go on this boat. Look at this aft deck. Freestanding furniture, very stylish little coffee tables, big sunbeds on either side. And we're being tracked by a couple of Wally tenders filming us. Look at that wake streaming out behind. That's what a combined 4,000 horsepower will do. Now, we've just taken some performance figures, so I can tell you a little bit about what kind of speed and fuel consumption we get. So at full whack, you can do 23.8 knots, burning 750 litres an hour, which is pretty punchy. But then again, if you cut the speed down to around 15 knots, then the litres per hour go down to about 450 litres per hour. Or better still, if you drop down to 1250 RPM, you're still doing 10 knots, but you're burning just 116 litres an hour. Now for a big boat like this, that's really quite impressive. But the whole point of this semi-displacement hull is you can really pick whatever speed you want to do. You don't have to be planing, you don't have to be displacement. You can go any speed you want between 8 knots and 24 knots and nothing much really changes. Now let's go down and have a look at this lower cockpit, because this is a rather lovely space too. The way it's been designed is you've got these 2 split garages. So these are tender garages. It's under here you can get Williams tender of 4.5 meters, I think it is. And then the other side you can keep all your toys and tenders and inflatable paddle boards, sea bobs. But it's rather nice because it's like a sailing boat. You've got twin parallel seats and it's very sociable because you can sit facing each other without being miles apart, because this is a really beamy boat. It's over 25 foot wide, which is enormously wide for an 88-foot boat. And then there's this angular cockpit table here, which is wonderfully sheltered, because although you're technically out in the open, you've got glass screens down either side, big flybridge overhang, and you're completely sheltered in here. So it's actually a very civilized place to be. There's no wind at all, but you still get that fantastic view out the back. Now if we come through, this has electric sliding glass doors, so when you press the button the first stage goes back. It's really quite quick, and then press it again and it slides back into position. I'm just going to pause it there so we can take a look inside and then close it up. Oh. So there we are, close it up, and suddenly you're in an absolute oasis of calm. And this is the main saloon area. And technically this is a show galley, so that if you want to entertain your guests you can, but actually the main galley is downstairs in the crew section. But look at this saloon. This fantastic glass staircase, which is very much the centerpiece of the yacht, with a full carbon fiber staircase that seems to float in the center of it. Really quite spectacular. And then these 4 huge windows along each side, giving a fabulous view out. But it's incredibly quiet and civilized and refined in here. IPS engines are renowned for being very refined, and because they're tucked away right under the aft deck, you really can't hear them at all. And then these stylish low coffee tables almost at ankle height. You can see the lighting under the sofas. Very cool effect. Quite unlike anything else you'll see. But look what happens when you open this door at the forward end of the saloon. This is the real wow factor, because this is the master cabin on the main deck, which when you come forward has absolutely astonishing 270-degree views. Look at that, the island berth right in the middle of it, and then screens, well not screens, they're windows, but they almost look like kind of wide screen. It's so amazing. Wraps all the way around. Oh, that's someone having a little go with the bow thruster. But look at this, even right on the actual prow of the boat, there is a screen that's carefully bent to shape so that it wraps around and then all the way around. Astonishing views, and that island berth. If that doesn't make you feel special, nothing will. This really is unquestionably the coolest owner's cabin I've ever seen on a boat of this size. And look, there is a little vanity unit there. But it's not really about the features, it's about that view. And it does not get any better than that. And then on either side of it, there's not one, but 2 bathrooms. So You don't even have to share your bathroom with your partner. Look at that. Beautiful sort of stone effect. You can see, it's like you can see where the stonemason has actually cut it out of the rock, and then beautiful Alcantara finish here. Very stylish black sink and delicate little tap. And then an exact mirror of that opposite. So that really is the height of luxury. You have separate his and hers bathrooms, not just his and hers sinks. You have an entire separate bathroom. But most of all, you have that view. Just can't get enough of that. And because you're so far from the engines, it's completely silent here. I literally can't hear the engines. Just bobbing gently up and down in the Bay of Cannes. How nice is that? And this is the VIP cabin. And again, it's completely unlike anything you've ever seen before. There's a huge television that rises from there. We're actually on the lower hull, and the bed is athwartships. So you can see there's quite a big gap between the end of the bed and the actual hull sides. So it's tucked well down below, quite far forward and athwartships. And yet again, there are 2 bathrooms. So both the master cabin and the VIP both has 2 bathrooms. Extremely civilized. So even though you're a couple, you don't have to share your bathroom with your other half. But look at this, it's just so stylish, so different. All this high contrast, very nice sort of soft touch Alcantara with the little black trim in between. So Wally, completely unlike anything you've ever seen before. And then these are 2 guest cabins. So again, athwartships, nice double. Again, these bathrooms with the stylish, they're not actually carbon fibre, but it has a kind of carbon fibre look, and all the black anodized rails, beautiful marble finish, walk-in shower, lots of teak, big wardrobes. Look at those. Quite unlike any other boat you'll ever see. And then this incredible carbon fibre staircase that runs up through the heart of the boat. Beautiful, you can see the actual carbon fibre weave on it. And up into the saloon. This is the saloon. Absolutely astonishing feeling. Look at those 4 windows, huge windows on either side. And there you can see that glass and carbon fibre stairwell running right up through the heart of the boat. So different, unlike anything you've seen before. And it has a semi-displacement hull, but designed to only have a very low angle as you're running forward. So we're doing over 15 knots now, and there's barely any lift at all. And over here is the galley in the aft corner. And this is technically a show galley. The actual main galley is down below. But if you want to, you can have a show galley to show off to your guests. And look at that, even this has an amazing hobs that seem to be almost invisible set into the surface there. And that gives you an idea of just how quickly we are going. It's powered by quadruple IPS 1350, so 4,000 horsepower engines. And that is the most efficient way of getting this kind of speed, but it's so quiet in here, you've no idea for moving that quickly. And while things are a little quieter, I just wanted to show you this upper deck. So you can see there's a glass bulkhead that separates the Sky Lounge from the bridge deck area. But look at these helm chairs. Even these are a piece of sculpture. Carbon fibre backs, split down the middle. Everything is just taken to an nth degree. And then a little side door out onto the raised bow area. And this is enormously tall up here. We're on top of the world up here. This is right at the front of that very tall vertical bow. And it's really a technical area, but what it does allow me to show you is the shape of that bridge. Look at that huge glass screens. It's like weird outer space, proper spaceship. Look at the size of these windscreen wipers. Enormous, again, carbon fibre arms. Look at the size of that. But it is just like another world. Their tagline at Wally is 20 years ahead, and you can see why. This is unlike anything else on the market. And it may or may not be for you. It's very definitely a Marmite boat, but thank God there are companies like this creating such astonishing pieces of floating sculpture. Now this is what is so deceptive. Because it's a semi-displacement hull and you're so remote from it up forward, you have no idea just how much power you're putting out the back. And it really is churning it out. You've got quadruple 1,000 horsepower IPS pod drive engines churning up the water and putting out really quite a big wake. Now you can really see why that hull shape makes sense. So Luca Bassani designed it as a semi-displacement boat, but didn't want it to ride up like a traditional one does with a 5-degree trim angle. So he increased the weight and the volume at the bow and made sure it's tall enough so that even when you are punching through the waves, you don't get spray coming onto the deck. And he's used that extra space to create that remarkable bow cabin. But seeing it underway, it all starts to make sense. It just seems to slide through the water very cleanly with that sharp entrance right at the front of the bow that just cuts through the waterline. And of course a longer waterline makes for a more efficient drive, which in combination with those 4 IPS pods makes it very efficient running along, certainly at these kind of slow displacement speeds. But it looks much better out on the water than you'd imagine. It's such a shock to the system, it's a little bit hard to get your head around it, but when you see it moving, it all starts to make sense.